you could fund that deal as long as your borrower has 10% at the time of the sale. Has a client that needs $100,000 at a tax sale. Can he be funded and how? Here's the problem, Keith. Now, I'm gonna lump in tax sales with foreclosure sales. And I'm also gonna lump in sheriff sales, okay? Because in most states, you need to have all cash. And by cash, I mean cashier's checks. Okay, so for Keith's client to go to the tax sale, he needs to have $100,000 in cash. Now, here's the problem, okay? Most people, let's say that they want to buy 123 Main Street, and they want to buy it at the foreclosure auction or the tax sale or the sheriff's sale, and the opening bid is 65 grand, and they want to bid it up to 100,000. You can't put a lien on a house you don't own. So as a lender, and I'm not talking just about Coco Capital, I'm talking about any of us, because guys, the only difference between a lender and you is a lender has identified sources of capital. That's the only difference, okay? And anybody can do that. Anybody can be a lender. And private money brokers, especially those of you that have been through our certification training, we teach you, do not advertise yourself out there as a private money broker. Advertise yourself as a private money lender, because if you got $3 in your pocket, you are a lender. If you find deals that are $3. If the deals are bigger than $3, then you're gonna broker it. But still, always present yourself as a lender. It gives you more power in the negotiations because the assumption is you're the one writing the checks, okay? Now, as a lender, because even as a broker, you need to think about lending, because at some point, you guys, you're gonna stop brokering and you're gonna start lending your own money, okay? I got into the private money business back in 2001 when somebody called and asked if I could lend them 25 grand. I didn't have 25 grand cash of my own money at that point. So I put the deal together and I called a couple of people and they said, yeah, we'll fund it. So I got the borrower the 25 grand. I made 5 points loan origination, which was $1,250. And the lender made 18% on their cash. Well, the minute that transaction took place, the first thing I said is, I need to make more money so I can be a lender, which is what I've done. Now, every single one of you should be saying, I want to be a lender. That should be your goal. Now, as I said, a lender is anybody that has the money that they can lend it out. So when a deal like this comes across your desk, you always have to ask yourself this question. Am I willing to give that person 100 grand secured against that collateral? If the answer is yes, then it's probably a good deal. Because if you were willing to write a check with your own money, then it's probably a good deal for me to write a check with my money. Make sense? Okay. So always put yourself in the seat of lender. Now, as the lender, are you willing to hand this person $100,000 knowing that they don't actually own the house? Because remember, when you go to auction, the checks are written, pay to the order of, so if I'm going to the auction and I go down to the bank and I get cashier's checks to bring to the sale, the checks are written out to me. It literally says pay to the order of Lee Arnold. And I'll go down to the auction with $500,000, $1 million in cashier's checks made out to me. Now, that's secured against nothing. I mean, I could take those checks and go down to Mexico and there's nothing anybody could do about it. The same thing is true of this borrower. So Keith, let's say that your borrower's name is Sally Ross, okay? So Sally Ross wants to go to the tax sale and buy this house. She needs 100 grand. You hand her 100 grand. Those checks are going to be made out to the name of Sally Ross. Pay the order of Sally Ross. And if she goes to Mexico, there's no recourse. And this is why you guys, as a lender, Coco Capital, we can't lend your borrower or you money to go to tax sale, to go to foreclosure sale, or to go to sheriff sales. Unless, and there's always an unless, okay? If you are in the states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Ohio, okay? If you're in any one of these states, you only need 10%. So if you bid on a $100,000 asset and you get it, you only need $10,000. You only got to give them 10 grand at the time of purchasing that property. Now you have 45 days from that point in time to come up with the remaining balance. This is a loan Kogo can do, because when you buy it at a sheriff auction, you will be given what's called a sheriff's deed or a trustee's deed for the $10,000. Now you got 45 days to come up with the remaining balance. Kogo can fund that deal. So brokers, you could fund that deal as long as your borrower has 10% at the time of the sale. Now, if you're in the state of North Carolina, they do what's called an upset bid. And so in North Carolina, all you need to go to auction is 5%. So if you want to go bid on the $100,000 house, you only got to bring in 5%, $5,000. In the state of Utah, you only need a $5,000 cashier's check. And you have 48 hours or 24 hours to come up with the remaining balance, which means you can go down to the auction with $5,000, you can bid, and then you can simply call a local private money lender. I've got many contacts there, and they will fund it within 24 hours. That's how I used to run my foreclosure group when I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah. I had 100 clients that all had a $5,000 cashier's check on file with me. I would send them an email and say, hey, this is going to auction, this is going to auction, this is going to auction. And they would say, well, I want to bid on this one and this one and this one. I'd go to my file folder, grab a $5,000 cashier's check in their name, go to the auction, bid on it, buy it in their name, call my private money lender, and within 24 hours, he would wire the funds, okay? In the state of Arizona, you only need to have a $10,000 cashier's check, and then you have 24 hours to come up with the remaining funds. And there's a zillion private money lenders in Arizona that will provide you the remaining balance within 24 hours of bidding. So there's very few states that I've been to where there isn't some workaround.